All right, here we got Warcraft 2 BattleNet Edition, the Great Old Games version of the game. However, I do have a widescreen patch that you can download that increases the resolution from 640 by 480 to like 900 something. It's a lot better way to play the game. It's a lot better view. So if you don't have it and you would like to play Warcraft 2, this is the way to do it in a modern computer. So let's go ahead and go and do a single campaign here. And I'm just a fan of the human
Due to
campaign
your
better, so we'll go ahead and
position
watch
as
this.
regional commander of the Southern Defense Forces, Lord Tyrannus commands that you raise an outpost in the Hillsbrad foothills. It is rumored that Orcish marauders have been raiding coastal towns in the area, but whether these attacks
Okay,
are
we'll go
part
ahead and
of a
get jumping
greater
here. All right, so the first level is really good for, and I've said this a lot, I really think that Warcraft 2 is the way to learn how to play a strategy game. It's a very simple interface. There's very few buttons. The buttons are large. Clicking and dragging is very easy to do. And it's just very simple resources, very simple map management. There's a lot of really good reasons to play Warcraft 2 as your first strategy game. On this level, just if you're wanting to learn how to play the game, the game tutors you. It starts off with a level 1, 2, and 3, where the first level teaches you about the economics. Here you got a gold mine. You can see how much gold is in here. You can see your resources at the top here. And you can click on your town center, where these guys automatically drop the gold off once you tell them to go collect it. So, you know, it makes sense. You see your money go up. You figure out, oh, I'm trying to build more peasants. Well, this tells you there's not enough farms. It gave you just enough to get you started. So then you click on a peasant, and you're like, all right, well, how do I do this? You can see the commands for the different that the peasant has. You click build, farm, and then it gives you this little ghost outline of where you want to put things. Click where you place it, and there you go. Okay. You can also, on the first level, even though you don't need it, your first objectives are to build farms and buildings, your barracks. But they give you some swordmen here that you can practice playing, doing the combat. And the interface here is really simple. You just right click to get moving, and your guys will move when you right click on the map. They move to that point. If you right click on an enemy, they will go and attack the enemy. You can also press attack and click on an area, and they will walk their way towards that point until they run into an enemy or until they reach that point. Okay. Go ahead and get these guys working so I can go ahead and do a little bit of combat. Well, this one I know we don't really need to get a bunch more soldiers. If you just come along here, there's only 3 orc enemies, so if you're careful with the way you do this, whoever is standing still gets first hit, and so you can just send one guy to go get draw him in, and then you come back and let him get beat up by the other 2. I kind of was a little bit slow on the draw there. I wasn't expecting to be that close. It's been a while since I played this first level. Okay, and this is one thing I also like about this game is when you click, your guys pause for a second. Okay, now you guys that have played Warcraft or StarCraft a lot might not understand why that's a big deal, but in StarCraft, people love to get actions per minute. They increase their action per minute to millions of actions. I say millions. It's not really millions, but they keep clicking, and they click and they click and they click, and most of the clicks are wasted time. I mean, they're absolutely pointless. It's just a nervous tick at that point. A lot of people have. So, in my opinion, I like that this game, when you click, your guy pauses for a second and be like, oh, you want me to change what my last direction was? And, it makes sense. In combat, when you give an order, there's a delay that goes into getting that order sent and communicated and understood. And so that slowing down, I think, makes a lot of sense in this case. Okay. In StarCraft, clicking more tends to help you, which I find absolutely ridiculous. So yeah. Anyway, that's my little rant about StarCraft, and another reason why I like Warcraft 2 is just it's really good intro, and some of the things make sense. Granted, there are a lot better strategy games out there, and there's a lot of quality of life things that you can get as you play other strategy games. However, it's these lack of quality of life things that really teach you a lot of the good skills behind what's going on here in the game. So one of the things, for example, is the pathfinding, which is the idea of when you tell a guy to walk a distance, whether they will actually be able to draw the path and get there successfully, kind of like navigate the maze. In Warcraft 2, it's less than there's a lot to be desired here, right? You can see on a simple path here, he's able to work his way around, but on more complex paths, the guys tend to get lost. Well, in this one, because the pathing isn't as good as it could be, you end up having to navigate and say go here and then go over here. So like go down to this point, then go over there if you want to them to go in 2 or 3 different directions. Okay, and that forces you to have to think about what you're doing instead of just say go and attack and expect the guy to find it there, right? There's valuable skills I think in that. And anyway, well, we finished the level here. All you had to do is build 4 farms and a barracks, and the game level is over. And then you get a victory screen here. I never understood what all the points were for the longest time, but apparently there's a whole chart. You can actually look it up on the internet to figure out what all the scores do. All right, here we have level 2. This one is where you get to learn about the combat, and you're going to go rescue some elves. And it's great. Like I said, the campaign tutors you how to play the game. A good strategy game will do that, and for as old as this one is, it did a great job back in its day. Okay, so I have to go rescue some elven archers and get them back to the Circle of Power. Well, in this one, you start off with a peasant, and you got a handful of soldiers. There's actually enough soldiers here to win the level. But before I go do that, I wanted to go talk about the boats. Warcraft 2 is different than Warcraft 1 in that Warcraft 1 didn't have boats, and so a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people don't like island hopping. A lot of people don't like the naval combat. And it's very rudimentary. The ships for the orcs are the exact same as for the humans. But I think there's some fun elements here of control. For example, here I have these elven destroyers. They fire a cannonball, but they're not guaranteed to get a hit. So if I come over here and I keep moving, this guy fires, and then I stop and fire. And as long as I keep moving, there's a chance that he might miss. Right? He got a hit on that one. But of all that, I only think I got one real hit between the two. Yeah. You can see their damage here is 2 to 36. So I only got hit once out of there, and I got enough shots off to finish the guy. So, you know, there's a few tricks you can learn with the naval combat. In fact, with these 2 ships, I should be able to sink. I think there might be 3 enemy ships. Let's see if I can get the other. There's at least 2. Let me sail around and see what I can find. Yep, here he is. He fired. I fire. I'm going to keep moving around. He fires again. I'm fired again. The closer you are to him, the more likely it is, or to the other ship, the more likely it is for them to hit you. And so the farther away you are, the more likely you are to dodge. So anyway, there's just the 2. But you know, level 2, you learn to do some naval combat. You don't build ships yet, but you do get to fight with him. All right, so on this one, you just take all the ones that you have, and I have to bring back my troops back to this ring of power. And here we are, already in combat. And notice the computer struggles here a little bit with knowing when to attack. And if you just tell your troops to go and attack, they might do the same thing where one guy, they're not sure which target to pick. And so it's kind of like taking them by surprise a little bit. And another thing with Warcraft 2 that you can do is I showed it in the previous level, whoever defends gets to have the first hit. So if I run up here and I grab, let me move up just a little bit more. Okay, put the archers behind here, and then you just grab your footmen, you run up here, try and lure an enemy in. Okay, no enemies still. Let's move up just a little bit more. But you kind of make yourself a little battle line, get the archers behind. And the point is, in Warcraft 3, they got rid of this. You can't actually one-hit kill things or kill them really before they get any hits in, because they have so much life. And that's one of my biggest critiques about Warcraft 3. There we go. All right, they got a range attack, so I got to engage them. So I can draw them in. I got to get the guys behind the wall there. And then there's another enemy. See if I can get through without losing anybody. All right, this building does not have a defense, so I'm okay. Just need to knock down these walls here. But the ability to kill enemies without losing guys is, I think, a very valuable way to very valuable skill, right? As long as you don't lose a guy, that person your men outnumber the enemy, and you can get additional hits in as long as you can keep them from targeting that one wounded unit. Okay, I found the guys here. I'm going to rescue him, bring him back. And you can see this a lot when you have ballistae, and you fire a ballista, and if you can one-hit kill a unit, you now potentially could outnumber the enemy if you started off with equal number of units. And the fact that you struck first gives you an advantage, because normally you saw how if you're standing still, the person who attack or defends gets the first hit. Well, if you are using a ranged unit or a ballista, you can sometimes get a one-hit kill on some of these units and get a nice, a free hit, and then that turns the tide of the battle for you. Well, in Warcraft 3, they give you so much time in combat that you can cast spells and all sorts of things that it just makes all these individual units so worthless. There's no point in building them, in my opinion. Well, you have to have them, but they're just meat shields at that point. They don't do enough damage. Anyway, I brought these guys back to the circle of power here, so that's the level. One thing I did want to point out is you notice that once they killed, you may not have noticed this, but once they killed that building, all of the orc units came and attacked me. There's a trigger in the AI that if you kill their last building, they try and send all units to attack you. And that's, I guess, one way to make it so that the game just doesn't turn into a I'm hunting down the last unit. But just something to be aware of. So whenever you're playing the campaign levels, if you aren't ready for a final mad rush of lots of units, don't kill their last building. And when I play levels, I like to be able to get by without taking any kills. I know there's some people, or not taking any losses. There are some people that make a game out of it, and they try and get perfect scores. I'm not a perfect score kind of guy, but I like to keep it low. All right, so this next level is where you learn how to do more ship combat. They wanted you to teach, or they wanted to teach you how to build harvest oil, because they haven't done it up to this point. And oil, a lot of people, I'd say, again, a very controversial resource, because it's dealing with water, and people don't like the island hopping and that type of stuff. But I find it, cool enough that and I think later on in the game you'll see why naval combat is actually an important part of Warcraft 2, because they always say orcs are broken. They're so much better than humans. But because humans have better mages, that innately makes them better at naval combat, and that's kind of where I see the balancing out happening. And so I do appreciate the naval combat. I think it is a interesting part of Warcraft 2 that Warcraft 3 they pretty much got rid of. All right, you saw me. I killed a seal there. Yeah, well, sorry, innocent little creature, but they do get in the way, and they're kind of annoying. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with if you click on a seal too many times, they will blow up. But I'll let them stick around. It's just kind of funny if you're playing multiplayer and you have a seal next to the enemy. It's a fun way to make them wonder if you're attacking them, because they have an explosion. You just click one in their base, and then something blows up, and they're like, "What was that?" Only works on newbie players, though. All right, so here we got a troll axeman here. These guys take 2 shots, but my cannon tower, or my cannon ship doesn't reload fast enough to be able to 2-shot it right away, and so he can get several hits on me. So if I run and I hit the guy, and then I come back in and I reload, after I've reloaded, I can get my second shot off. Okay. So there's a couple little tricks here. These guys can be good if you're starting a level off with a couple of them. They don't have a very large range, only range of 4, which is the same range as an archer, but they do have a pretty solid first hit, and so you can get a good like that guy wasn't sure what he was doing, and he's still not sure who's going to attack, but I got 2 hits on him, and I only took 1 bit of damage from the troll. Let's see if I can go around. I think there's a grunt, or an orc over here. A grunt. Yeah, an orc grunt hidden in the trees over here. Yeah, there he is. Okay. So let me come around here, and again, this level gives you a little bit of chance to practice your combat, and you get to see the strength of the Warcraft, or the combat system, where you make little choke points here, and then you get so all 3 of your guys can beat up on the one guy, right? I think I really hurt myself. This cannon gallon shot him and tried to hit the orc, but he overshot and hit my own guy. So that was kind of a bad hit. Now I have to be careful with him. Let's see if I can finish off. I think there's one more grunt. And there might be an accident left. At that point, that should be everybody on the map. Yep, now I have, there's nobody else on this side of the island. All right, so at this point, it's just, build a few peasants, build a few farms, get going. I don't need to build a barracks. At this point, it's just trying to get the oil so that I can build shipyards and boats, okay? So there's your little oil patch right there, a little dark spot on the map. All right, these seals are getting in the way here, so I'm going to finish them off. Okay, so in order to build ships, you have to build a lumber mill first. And another great thing, which a lot of strategy games have followed this pattern, I think Command & Conquer also kind of did this, is they wanted you to learn the tech tree as you went. And here is no different, right? When I first start off, I'll show you here, all I can build, the previous level was just a farm, a barracks, and a town hall. Now I can build a lumber mill in addition to that, and the lumber mill is required in order to build a shipyard. Okay, notice that there's no option to build a shipyard. Okay, so I'm learning on level 2 or level 3 how to build the different buildings. So let me go ahead and I'm going to drop a lumber mill over by these trees, because peasants can drop lumber off at the lumber mill, hence the name, and so they don't have to walk all the way back to the town hall. Okay. Notice here, my town hall is a bit of a distance from the gold mine, and that is not ideal. A lot of the initial levels, they use it as a way to increase the difficulty. I guess the original game designers were doing that. I'm not quite sure why, but they designed it that way. And so on some of the levels, if you build yourself another town hall closer to the town hall, or to the gold mine, you can actually be 3 squares away. There's probably like 5 here, maybe 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I gotta go. So it's a hypotenuse of a triangle, so it's a little bit further of a distance than it would be if it was, in line. And so what you do is you build yourself another town hall closer, and it kind of depends on how much gold is in here, right? This is not worth building another one. But on other levels where there's more gold here, you build it closer, you get gold faster than the enemy does, and you can win the levels. It's just a way to, be smarter than the computer, but smarter than the other players here. So let me go ahead. Now that the lumber mill has finished, you see here that I have the advanced structures here, and you can build a shipyard. Well, let's see if I can put the shipyard any closer. I want to get as close as possible to the oil patch so that I can don't have to travel as far to deliver the oil. You see here there's 130,000 oil. That's a lot of oil. Each of your ships require oil, and there's only 2 buildings that require, 3 buildings that require oil. One is the blacksmith, which we'll get on a couple levels from now. And then as you upgrade your town hall to a keep or to a castle, it requires a little bit of gold. So every multiplayer level, you'll start off with 1,000 oil, which is all you need. However, if you lose your blacksmith or your town hall, it's kind of a crippling blow because you can't recover from that, right? Even if you have allies and they destroy your blacksmith, you won't be able to build ballista or knights, okay? So oil on most levels, you have enough to get by. But on water levels, you must have it. It's required to build the ships, minus the oil tanker. So you can see the price of the item. If I hover over it, is down here at the bottom of the screen. Just a little 400 and 200. So I'll go ahead and build one of those. But the ships cost like 700 oil, so kind of expensive. Okay. So let me go ahead and talk real quick about prices here, right? You might ask, what is the equivalent value of gold versus lumber? Okay, these guys are chopping on the same tree, and that's actually a bad idea because only one of them's get the wood. So let me go ahead and move the other guy. So if you have one guy beating on lumber, it takes like 50 hits to be able to get the tree out of it, and in the meantime, one little gold guy can go back and forth and get 100 gold pretty quickly, right? So if you were to say how much wood, what's the wood equivalent of gold? Okay. Well, what equivalent of gold? Well, they actually give you that answer when you're doing some upgrades. To be able to keep the game even, and interesting, the orcs, when they do their upgrades for their blacksmith, we'll see this on another level, that the orc sword costs 500 gold and 100 wood, and the human sword costs 800 gold. So there's your answer. 500 gold plus 100 wood is equal to 800 gold. We do the math there. It's about 300 gold is equal to 100 wood. Okay. Granted, if you have your lumber mill, which gives you an extra 125 lumber, or you upgrade your keep or your castle, which gives you extra 10 or 20, there's a little bit of difference there in the math, but pretty much it's a that's how I kind of calculate it. If you wanted to know the difference there. Well, what about oil? Well, oil, this one's kind of hard to value because it doesn't really matter to have lots of oil, unless you're doing a naval battle, and 700 oil is like an additional 700 gold. And so you have to have, the real cost there is, well, you have to have two types of peasants to do it. You have to have the oil rig or oil tanker, and you have to have a regular peasant to be able to build a boat. And that double cost is, I think, where it comes into play. It's not so much the how much gold is oil worth, it's how many farms is oil worth. The way I think is the more important piece of that. So, sorry, I've been talking a lot and just kind of playing in the background here with with just on autopilot here. And just collecting a little bit of gold here, trying to get enough to build another town hall and just build a fleet. Probably should build another shipyard so that I can build boats a little bit faster. On this part, my mission is to destroy all of the enemy oil rigs so that I can build on top of them. I'm supposed to have four or five oil rigs. So let me go ahead and build some boats. Get these things all ready for fighting here. So here's a trick. There's a little island here. There's some axemen on it. If I can see the axemen, they can see me, but usually won't be able to hit me initially. So I want them to come to me, so that and then stop moving. There he is. Okay, and then if I can get him to hold still, I can move in and nope, I missed. If I can get both of them to fire at the same point, I can get the shot there. So let's go ahead and keep the ship moving here. He's retreating back to his starting point. There we go, got that guy dead. He realizes he's outgunned, and so the computer retreats back to that. You'll see the computer do that a lot in multiplayer levels. They'll retreat back to a town hall once they are outnumbered. Let's see here. Here we go. Let's let him fire, and then fire. There we go. That wasn't too bad. So let's see if we can find the other boats. Probably could get by with, if we do it right, with just these couple ships here. So let's get this guy moving. See if I can, yep, got him. Another guy here, see if I can get him here. Oh, got 2 hits on me. Alright, so let me go ahead and just tell these guys to attack, move to there, so they'll finish off everything else. I'll get myself another destroyer. I probably have plenty of destroyers, but it takes a while to kill off these boats, or these oil rigs. But let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get these guys close, get them to fire, and now fire. And then just do a work around. There we go. I didn't take a single hit. Should be one more of them. Waiting for him to fire. See, he's not quite sure where he's supposed to shoot. He got a glancing blow on me and missed the second shot, and there we go. So you can get by with pretty much just the first ship you have, and maybe 2 more would probably be enough to win you the level. Oh, while I was away, I was neglecting the mining back here at home, but that's fine. I don't really need much more gold. That's what this gold mine's about to blow up anyway. I love the animation here where the guy goes in, the light turns on, there's a little pickaxe that disappears right there, right, and then the mine blows up when it's all empty. So I can send these guys over here to collect that, and then go get some more. Once the mine blows up, these guys will continue harvesting, and will get themselves wood instead, if there's wood behind them to be had. All right, let's get that second one building. I need to take theirs. I think I only have to have 4, so I'll go ahead and get those one going and destroy the rest of their shipyards, the shipyard and the farms that are there. That's a lot of oil, right? 100,000 oil is quite a bit. I mean, Your big ship takes 1,000 oil, the battleship that you get on later levels, and so that's 12 of those ships. No, no, let's see, that's not right. 100 and so it's 1,000. Yeah, 130 ships. A lot of ships. It's either 1,000 or is it 2,000? I think it's 1,000. So anyway, that's a lot of oil. You generally won't go through that much oil in a level. Yeah, the ships are a great example of getting stuck on the pathfinding I mentioned on one of my previous levels. If you have a guy stuck over here inside the little nook and I tell him to attack that one there, notice I click attack and he doesn't go because he can't figure out how to get there. The direct path is on land and the boat can't go on land. So they really struggle to do that. All right, and that's that level. Not really a lot to see here. Did I make it without losing anybody? Yep, there we go.